The Paragon of Man, Smoke Pit Fairy Tales, Part 3. Chapter 5. Rhodas is an idiot. Doc and I paddled towards the coast. The sun fell out of the sky towards the island in front of us behind the clouds. The wind was cold on our faces, but the sealskin tunics kept most of it and the splashing water off of our bodies. Snow started to fall again. We could see it start to build on the ground ahead.
So, do you have a plan for this, Hank?
Get to shore, head north, look for a small walled castle with a blue and white crossed flag? I shrugged.
Got any ideas after that?
Scout the place out, wing it from there.
All right, man. It was a good call suggesting us two do this.
I thought as much. You and I will eventually get out of this and get home. We should at least make sure everyone else has a fighting chance. The beach was dark when we hit it. We drugged the boat up past the sand and hid in the shrubs. We started to make our way north until we found a road, then we skirted north around it until we came between two lakes. We hooked north around those waters until the end of it. It was dark with no moon or stars in the sky, but the village was glowing. We circled around the banks of the lake until we were on the outskirts of town.
There it is.
I looked where Doc gestured. It was an older building. Now, that's English for sure, but I don't know if I'd call it a castle.
I can see where Ivy was confused, but it's got a wall and a flag. And it's not like we have pictures to go off of.
All right, let's scope it out for a while. We laid down in the shrubbery by the hillside.
Hank, what if someone sees our footprints in the snow and follows up on us?
What reason would anyone have to follow footprints in the snow?
I don't know, just what if?
Well, the snow's starting to fall pretty hard. I looked at the thick, wet flakes falling from the sky. They'd have had to have been hot on our trail, and we would have seen them if they had a light, to follow them with.
Good point. So what's the plan for going in?
Act like we're lost and looking for our friends?
How's that supposed to work, Hank?
Well, if they started off hospitable towards Fowler and Hill, they might ask us in too. We just have to be careful.
You mean we'll have to wing it?
Yeah. We watched the building for a while longer. The lights were on and people seemed to be moving around inside. While we were watching, I noticed a flower growing out of the snow. What the hell? I didn't think nature allowed that. I plucked the flower, root and all. The petals were bell-shaped and white. It had a short stem and a black radish-like root.
What are you doing?
Doc asked as I fastened it to my tunic. I don't know, man. Maybe they'll see it and think I'm trustworthy because I have a carnation.
This isn't fucking prom, man. Knowing our luck, that thing's sacred and we're gonna get our dicks split open like bananas because you plucked a flower to look pretty.
You got a better idea? Doc said nothing. All right then, let's go. We got up and walked through the gate to the door and knocked. A few moments later, a beautiful blonde woman wearing a muted pink sweater and a long brown skirt opened the door.
Hello?
She said with a smile.
Can I help you?
She didn't take 2 seconds to examine our clothes. This is the right place. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry to bother you at this time of night. My friend and I are on a journey and landed on your island this morning. We're cold and hungry and we've lost our friends. I tried to use my peripheral vision to look through the house without taking my eyes off the woman. I was wondering if you'd be so kind as to point us to somewhere where we could find shelter from the cold for the night. I tried my best to sound sincere. The woman smiled.
Oh, don't be silly. Come in.
I raised my eyebrows, pretending to be surprised. Really? Ma'am, you're too kind. She pulled the door the rest of the way open.
Oh, it's nothing. Come in, come in.
The house was beautiful inside. The walls were bare plaster, but the ceilings and rafters were dark carved wood. Paintings hung on the walls, Victorian furniture decorated the floor space, and it was warm.
This is a lovely home you have here.
Thank you. It's been in the family for generations.
She said as we entered the kitchen.
Take a seat, won't you? I'll fix you some warm mead.
That's very generous, ma'am, I said, sitting myself on a carved wooden chair.
So, there's a few of you bouncing around then?
She lit the stove and pulled a bottle of golden liquid from out of the cabinet.
Somewhere. Hank and I got lost in the snow.
Hank?
The woman turned to us.
I'm sorry I've been rude. I'm Aya Kirk. And if you have any other friends out there, do you have a way to contact them? It'd be a shame if they froze to death out there.
No, like I said, we're lost. I maintained a polite visage, but kept my hand on my 1911 under my sealskin.
Shame. A couple of your friends were here earlier.
What? Doc and I asked in unison with surprise.
Well, I suppose they still are. They came in, I offered them something to eat, and they both fell ill and collapsed.
I jumped out of my seat. Where are they?
Don't get your knickers in a twist.
She said, motioning her hand down.
I put them in the spare room. My daughters are looking after them.
She wiped her hand on a towel and poured us the warmed-up mead.
Amelia! Sharron!
What do you mean they collapsed?
I don't know. We were eating and talking a bit and they just keeled over.
2 girls in their early 20s walked into the room.
Amelia, Sharron, this is Hank, and
Aya looked at Doc.
I didn't get your name.
Wilson.
Hank and Wilson. This is Amelia and Sharron.
Aya introduced us. Amelia was average height with shoulder-length red hair and a cute button face. Sharon's face was a bit red, as if she'd been out in the cold. She had sandy blonde hair and was a bit plump.
They're friends of the men from earlier today.
Well, they're dressed the same. Follow us. We'll take you to them. But I don't know if they're in any condition to be talking.
Doc and I followed the girls cautiously through the house. We didn't pull out our weapons, but we kept a concealed hand on them. We left the mead on the table. Fowler and Hill were lying in a dark room under heaps of blankets and quilts. The 2 twin beds rested on opposite sides of the room.
They've been asleep since shortly after they came.
Amelia told us.
I'm gonna look over them.
Doc pushed through the girls and examined Fowler and Hill.
Are you the doctor?
I'm the corpsman.
Which is...
Sharron inquired.
The medic.
Doc said as he was looking over Hill. He's more of a nurse.
Ha ha. Fuck off.
What's your language here, mister?
Sorry.
Doc leaned up from over the Marines. We all walked out of the room and headed back to the kitchen. Doc grabbed his meat and took in a deep whiff. He made eye contact with me and raised his eyebrows as if to say, here goes nothing. He downed the glass in one gulp.
Thirsty are ya?
Aya commented and refilled Doc's drink.
Well, drink up. It'll get you warm. You boys look like you need it.
I pretended to take a sip of the mead, but didn't in case Doc was testing the drink for poisons.
So what brings you here? Your friends passed out before we could really talk to them.
It's kind of a long story. Do you mind if I take off my coat? I looked at the sealskin schmuck I was wearing.
Take off what you want. You'll be staying here tonight unless you want to freeze out there. And it doesn't matter if it's a long story. I'll be cooking dinner soon. You'll have plenty of time. So how about it?
Well, I guess it was a couple of years ago now. I'm not really too sure when now is, besides winter. We were on a training mission in Latvia. We were supposed to be there for about 6 months, but 2 or 3 months into it, the Russians invaded. Sharon's eyes widened.
You fought the Russians?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we fought them in Latvia for a bit. Then we loaded up and headed to sea.
And washed up here.
No, I fucking...
Language.
Sorry. I looked over at Doc. He was halfway through the second glass of mead and seemed all right, so I took a sip. Oh God, that's delicious. And no, we were on ships, kind of, and we were in the landing force that hit St. Petersburg.
That had to be rough. Our brother was there.
I looked at them half expecting them to say that he was killed in action.
He was with 51st Infantry Brigade. We don't know what happened to him. We haven't got so much as a letter in ages.
It was bad. I hadn't gotten to send a letter in about a year, but it's not like everyone there died. I mean, we took the city, but then we didn't hear from the command in months. So we sent a team to figure out what was going on, and they all came back with radiation sickness, so we decided to hoof it. I took another sip of my drink. We all departed in smaller groups, then rode into Scandinavia, then hooked back south. We got a small boat, and this was the first place we found. Where are we, anyway?
Just outside of Lerwick.
Aya answered as she chopped some sort of meat. And that's England?
Scotland? Do we sound English to you?
No. But I should have guessed. My wife's Virescent, and they all sound Scottish. Amelia smiled.
That's pleasant. How did that come about?
Well, I was at an Irish pub in San Diego and was covered in a white Russian a blonde woman with a mustache threw on me.
I meant the accents.
Oh, apparently when they were flying through space, they learned English watching radio broadcasts we shot into space and picked it up from watching the BBC. The women all nodded in approval. But anyway, there's a few more of us out there tonight.
Well, unless you have a beacon, you're staying put. The snow'll blind and freeze you if you go out tonight. You're staying here until it's warmer in the morning.
I looked at Doc. He shrugged in approval. That's very generous, ma'am.
Yes, thank you very much.
So, what's your wife's name?
Penelope, I answered with a crooked smile. She's tall, beautiful, dark emerald skin, loaded with freckles and rose tattoos. Bright orange hair with long bangs.
Got a thing for gingers, do you?
That I do.
Amelia, quit coming on to the guests and help me with the dinner.
Amelia smiled and walked over to the stove.
How do you have power?
There's a power plant on the island. It used to be diesel, but they've converted it back a bit to run off water. We're pretty fortunate. I hear down on the island things are havoc.
I thought we were on the island.
You're on Shetland. Scotland proper is about 300 kilometres south, and from what we've heard, things aren't too well. A decent amount of England is ashes, and they've all moved either to the Highlands or Wales. And up here, we've got enough animals and have been able to grow enough to stay healthy. I don't think the same could be said for all of them. No one has jobs up here really anymore in the common sense, but we all pitch in, harvesting, platting, herding, building, chopping, shearing, sowing. Maybe things are better this way. The community's really come a lot more together.
Maybe. I finished the glass of honey liquor. Aya and Amelia placed hearty portions of beef and potatoes in front of Doc, Sharron, and I, then sat down with plates of their own.
Eat up. You boys look starved.
I felt humbled in front of the dish. It wasn't royal by any means, but given the world situation, it was a feast. I looked Aya in the eye. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I don't know if we'll be able to thank you enough for all of this.
Don't you worry about that. Our boy went to St. Petersburg. And if we can't have him here, we'll host you.
I was at a loss for words, so I just ate. Doc took a few bites and looked up at the women.
This is really good.
It is, but I always heard British food is terrible. Shetland must be the exception.
English food is terrible. Bland and cold. They wouldn't know a good meal if one came right up and bit them in the arse.
Although, with everything that's happened, the food there's probably gotten a good bit worse. It's going to be a horrible holiday for them all.
Is it close to that? The women looked at me in unison. I have no idea what the date is.
Christmas is in a week.
Well, God bless us, everyone.
Absolutely. We're all in relatively good health, and we have more than enough to keep us fed through the winter.
Aya looked at our empty plates.
Now, you boys don't worry about cleaning up. The girls will show you while you're sleeping, and we'll wash your clothes tonight. We'll get you up in the morning for breakfast and send you off to find your friends. Just make sure to return back here when you've found them. Don't forget, you still have two down here ill.
Doc and I were led to another bedroom with a couple of beds. Amelia and Sharron took our clothes and smiled when they saw us stripped. Doc and I made sure to keep our weapons out of sight. After the girls shut the door, I asked Doc, "So what do you think?"
I don't know. I think we should be all right. Rhodas and Ivy are just idiots.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. What do we tell them when we go get them tomorrow?
That things are all right and we have a place to stay for a bit.
The bed was warm. I was tucked under layers of heavy wool quilts and soft cotton sheets. It was the most comfortable I'd been since we left California. I rolled around and wrapped myself up like a burrito between the blankets and rubbed my face on the pillows. I felt content with life, if not for just a moment. The only thing that stopped me from thinking the bed was heaven was Penelope's absence. I dreamt of her, rolled up in my arms, her bright orange hair in my face, my arm wrapped around her body with her breasts in my hand. I thought of her snuggling up her ass to my crotch and how she'd wake me in the middle of the night, kissing my knuckles. I wondered what she was doing, if she was still around to do anything. My heart sunk and my eyes started to burn from the thought of her being hurt. Is she getting ready for Christmas? Had the community in Ramona gotten closer like this place did? Or was it all scorched to glass? How's our child doing? Is it healthy? What did you name it? Is it even a him or a her? God damn it! Tears pooled, then ran down my face, but I didn't sob. I just wanted to be with Penelope, wrapped up and warm in front of a fire with nothing between us beside a worn-out Slayer shirt. should probably press record, right? I should probably press record, right? I should probably learn how to fucking talk! Thanks for listening to this chapter of The Paragon of Man. Rhodas is an idiot. It's chapter 5. And I named that chapter that because Rhodas is an idiot. Alright, who's on this one? I'd like to thank Chuck LaVoki for playing Doc, Eva DeVera for playing Shannon, Stephanie Murdoch for playing Amelia, and Diane Spencer for doing that AF. Like, wow, right? When she first sent me that, I was like, dude, what the fuck? Well, she actually sent me two different things. She sent me one that was like her playing that character the way I told her I wanted her to play that character, and then she sent me the old lady voice like just on her own, and that was not at all what I asked for, and it just fucking like rocked my head. So I was like, that's awesome. So give it up for fucking Diane on that one. Anyway, I'm gonna pick a side of the screen to be on, so we can roll the credits and it working, or me not being behind the credits, bouncing back and forth and all that shit. Anyway, I had a fucking weekend. I went up to the Flagship City Comedy Festival fucking tour in Erie and got a little fucked up. It was a good time though. My buddy Dan Brady is putting that together. If you've been listening to the show, he played a Claire in the first book. But yeah, it's fun that I think things are going well there. I'd also like to thank my Patreon people who get these episodes early, and by that I mean I've started working on the 4th book. So as of whatever today's Tuesday, right? Nah, fuck, today's Tuesday. I gotta do this now. As of today, actually as of yesterday, the first chapter of the 4th book is up. So I am actively working on Chain Smoke Your Problems Away, Smoke Fairy Tales 4. It will probably not be on YouTube, or it won't start airing on YouTube until I think fucking September. So, if you want to get ahead on what's going on, well, I mean, the 3rd book is on Audible, but it's also all over on Patreon, and so is the 4th one. We're rolling into it. It's been fun. Anyway, I'd like to thank all my Patreon people, as well as everyone who's gotten a war chest, which is the box set of these physical books, and they come with patches and stickers and shit. Well, a patch and stickers and postcards and stuff. I've been working on some... how do we do that? Come on, buddy. Focus. Over here. You know what? Fuck it. Hey, Trip, fucking just drop the goddamn JPEGs in. I've been working on some new postcard designs. I'm holding them up now, but I'm gonna drop the actual image in the video for you to look at. Been knocking those out. That's kind of what I've been working on while I was waiting on getting all my voice actors in for book 4. But you... here on YouTube, as far as we're concerned, we're still talking about book 3. So that's where we're at. Anyway, I hope your week's going well. What's today? What is today? Come on, buddy. Oh, damn. I gotta drop next week's on here, too, real quick, because I'm gonna be out of town next week. So, yay on that. Alright, sorry for the brevity. I will catch y'all around. Here are your bloopers. Thank you very much for tuning in. And I'll catch you next week. All right. Ciao.
Okay, I'm going to do the fuck. I'm going to do that character script again, but this time, well, let's just see what happens. I'm going to try and sort of make her a bit older, if that makes sense.
Doc and I paddled towards the I didn't like that. I looked where Duck gestured. Well, if they started off hospitable towards Fowler and Hill, they might ask! Well, if they started off hospitable towards Fowler and Hill, they might the word is ask, Trip! We watched the building for a while longer. The lights were on, and people seemed to... Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry to bother you at this time of night. My time of night.
And obviously there's slight accent wobbles, but we'll see. Okay. Aya, chapter 5.
Doc and I followed the girls cautiously.
Ha-ha. Fuck off.
Jesus Christ, Trip.
Fuck off!
Stop it. Stop that. Whatever the fuck you were doing, stop it. God damn it. This is not the phone, is it?